Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So in the last video I pretty much did what I carry in my pack when I'm out there in the field chasing turkeys, and what I usually strap to my pack or carry with me are the decoys that I plan on hunting with. So that's what today's video is going to be. I'm going to go over these decoys and I'll talk about them and what I like about them, and if there's any dislikes, which there's not really any dislikes. So I'll go ahead and get started with the three main ones that I've always got with me, and then the fourth one that I carry, depending situation permitting or when I think it would be a good time to bring that thing out. So the first thing, so this is a Flextone. I believe it's their Thunder line, as they call it. So everything's like Thunder something. So you got your Thunder Jake, I believe it's Thunder feeder or Thunder hen feeder, and then Thunder hen upright, I think is the technical term, and then the Thunder creeper, which is what this strut decoy is. So I'll go ahead and start with the Thunder Jake. I'll talk a little bit about it, what I like about it, and then I'll give you some good up close shots so that you can check out the paint job and see what it looks like. So, all right, so here's a couple things I really like about it. I weighed these things just before the video to make sure that I could give you the most accurate depiction of what this thing actually is. So this Thunder Jake here weighs in at 1 pound 5 ounces, so it's pretty light. When you look at some of these other decoys, these injection molding, form molded decoys, they're pretty heavy. These guys, if the weather is really warm out, you might pull them out of the field and they might have a little flex to them, or if you leave them in your truck or your car, they might be a little soft, but all you gotta do is just put them in a room temp place and they harden right back up. So right now these things are pretty stiff, but never had a problem with them in the field. Anyway, back to the Jake. All right, so here's what I like about the Jake. First off, it's 1.5 pounds. It's super light. If you're running and gunning, weight is obviously an important thing. You want as little bit of it as possible. The only modification I've done to this is, you can see that little paintbrush, I think, on the front there. It used to be a little bit longer. I think this one was maybe 2 or 3 inches longer. It was pretty good size for a Jake. And I've had problems when I use these. Some 2-year-olds would hang up, and at least I think they're 2-year-olds, or maybe there's just some Jakes with some nice beards, but they would kind of hang up, and I think it was because that beard was a little bit longer, and they didn't want to come in and get their butt whooped, or by this decoy, or they didn't know it was a decoy. Anyway, they would hang up and just kind of strut the distance out of gun range, and I got a fun show, but I didn't get to shoot a bird. So what I ended up doing is I trimmed this beard off. It's probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches now. It's not really big. Kind of looks like the little beards that some of these hens have. But since I've done that, I've had zero problems with hang-ups. This little guy's had the crap kicked out of him multiple times. All right, so on the bottom of all these, you've got a pretty nice little system here. So some decoys, my previous decoys had stakes that you had to carry with you separate from the decoy, and then you had to take them out and remember to pick them up. This thing is on a bungee, so you can see it stretches out nice. You let it go, you're not going to drop it. So if you're walking around in the field and you end up knocking this stake out of this little catch hole, it's not going to be left in the dirt or the woods or wherever you're hunting. So that's really nice. It's retractable, and it's got a nice little thing here where you can put your thumb in there when you're trying to push it in some of that heavier dirt, so that you don't break your decoy, and it just gives you that little bit of leverage, saves your hands. So this is the Jake. Really nice. Paint job's not bad. The head's got a blue head. I've actually thought about painting it and making it a little bit brighter, just to kind of catch the bird's eye from a distance. Maybe they'll think that he's getting ready to breed, so they're going to come in and fight him before he gets on these hens. But I haven't painted it yet, so go ahead and put this back. But anyway, great decoy to have. Usually when I carry in conjunction with one of these other ones. So the close-up video is going to be coming right after I put this down. So you'll be able to see all the detail. And just for full disclosure, if you see these little divots in there, this thing's been shot multiple times. I use it, when I, do wounded warrior hunts, or when I call for those guys, and they get really excited. So this guy's been getting the crap kicked out of him, and then, one of the wounded warriors pulls the trigger on the bird that's doing it, and well, this guy catches all the BBs, and he's held up really well. So when you see the close-up video, this thing's been shot multiple times, and I've had zero issues with it. So. All right, moving on next. So this is the Thunder Hen, the feeder. Same situation for the stake, retractable. It's on a bungee. It goes right there. This thing weighed in, this was the lightest of these three. It weighed in at 1.4 pounds. And it's a good decoy to have. Usually if I'm running and gunning and I'm carrying one decoy, it's this girl right here. You know, it's got the paint is kind of a bronze, so it stands out really good. If the sun's hitting it, it's got a little bit of iridescence. But the reason I carry this decoy if I'm going like solo and like if I know I'm going to be moving is because I've had this thing out there just feeding, and I brought in hens, and the hens will just stay around it feeding, talking, clucking, purring, and they don't seem to know that it's not real, or they just see it feeding, so they think there's something on the ground. And that's worked out for me because those hens will hang out for a little bit, and then, you know, usually a tom or something's following not terribly far behind them. So if I'm running a gun and this is the lone decoy I carry, I know some people like to carry jakes or whatever else, but it's usually this hen right here, and it's the lightest of the three. So that's the feeder hen. After I put this thing down, I'll go ahead and switch it over to some close-up footage so you can see the paint job on her. All right, and this is the Thunder Hen upright, I believe is what it's called. But same thing as this, good decoy. Color, sun hits it, glows really, really nice. And it's got the retractable stake, easy removal. This one weighs the same as this jake here. It's about 1.5 pounds, so really light. So if you think you got all three of these decoys together, if you're running and you want to do like a semi-full spread, you know, you're still pretty light. You're under, you know, 7 pounds for decoys. And like I said, some of these other injection molded decoys they get pretty heavy. I'm not going to name any brands because I know everybody hunts with different stuff, and you know, some people really love the stuff they hunt with, and I'm just a fan of these. They're super light and the paint's not horrible on them. Paint doesn't have to be perfect for me. I just need that bird to get in and not look for me. And sometimes this really helps to bring them in close, that if they get close and they realize that, hey, that's a fake turkey, it's usually too late. So these are my three go-tos. Again, with this hen being my primary if I'm really running and gunning. But in most cases, I will always have, if I'm not going terribly far, or if the ground's flat where I'm hunting and I'm not going to be exhausted, I will usually have this feeding hen and this jake with me. So I've got, you know, 3 pounds of decoys on top of my other gear, so pretty light. But that's usually how my spread is set up. I have a jake and this feeding hen. Alright, let's go on to the heaviest. I didn't really weigh this one because I've modified it a little bit, but I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'll do some up close so you can see the face and the paint job for all that, and I'll show that after I'm done talking about it. Alright, so this is I think they call it the creeper. It's a good name for it because I've used it to reap a turkey before, creeping behind it. So anyway, this is the creeper. I think without these wings that were graciously donated to me by a turkey a couple years ago, I figured I would put some wings on this thing. It just gives that little extra realism, and when it's out in the field and that sun hits it, it just really shines. And if the wind's blowing, it helps this thing wiggle a little bit. So this is the creeper decoy. the bottom, it has on the back, if you can see here, the retractable stake doubles as a handle. So there's the stake that holds this thing up, and then this goes right next to it. So you got a wider grip for your hand in there. But again, you can stick it up, and if the wind's blowing right, you get some good motion out of it. So I'll show you the fan that it came with, which is pretty easy to put on and take off. So let's see. All right, so this is what it looks like. Looking at it in the video, it looks a little brighter than it actually is in person, you know. But really easy to put on. It's got a little slit in there for this strap in the back. But you just go ahead and, you know, run that through and then cinch it down, and you're good to go. But again, it comes with this fan. You don't have to supply your own. And then that's what you got. So doesn't look bad. And you know, I just didn't like it. I wanted some realism. So anyway, same turkey that I took these wings off of. You know, I took the fan off of, and as you can see, it's seen some things over the years. So anyway, this is what it looks like on the back of there. Obviously, it's going to look bigger than it would normally, but still, it gives that good hint of realism, and it brings those birds in. So I had reaped a bird a couple years ago with it, and it worked out great. Now, the drawback is it's heavy, and it's awkward to carry. Like these, I've got a 550 cord little, you know, lanyard looking thing I made, and I just throw it around their heads and I clip it to my pack. This is a lot harder to carry. There's not really any good attach points for that. So if you're carrying it out there, you know, you just know that you're going to have to find a creative way to do it. And that's the only drawbacks to this, is it's just awkward to carry, and if you're doing it for a long ways, it's the heaviest of these decoys. So other than that, these decoys are great. They've done really well for me. Like I said, that Jake's been shot multiple times, and it still works great. Has not affected how the birds come into it. So this is what I'll probably be using on opening day, at least 2 of these. And I'm really excited just to, you know, get them out there again for another season, because I think the more action they get, the more I like them. And they've had a lot of action the last couple of years. It's because I've had some good turkey years. But so these are the Flextone Thunder series. I don't really have any other decoys to review unless I pull the Funky Chicken and that old Primos out of the closet. Actually, the Primos is in the backyard on my bow target, because I've been shooting at it. But these are what I'm going to be running. Good decoys. Highly recommend them. Like I said, they can take a beating. They're super light. And, you know, they don't deflate if they get shot. You don't really have to put them in a bag. The paint's not so perfect that it's going to, you know, if you get them scratched, you're going to be upset. And they're pretty durable, because, like, I run through the brush with them. And the only thing that I've really noticed is some of the tails, you know, there's some paint coming off the tails. But other than that, where I keep the 550 cord around the heads when I'm running, like, it's not really wearing. And if it did, it's not enough for a turkey to notice. But anyway, if you got any questions about these, or if it helps you, just let me know. You can give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I appreciate it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this down, and then go ahead and cut this video so that y'all can watch it. And with any luck, on the 22nd or so of next week, or maybe a couple days after that, I'll be posting a video of some turkeys getting flopped on the ground. But all right, everybody, have a good one. Appreciate it. Thanks again.